Hey, welcome back to the channel, my fellow weather junkies. I'm your host, Greg Majeski, your personal weatherman, bringing you the weather without all that social media hype for your Saturday, August the 31st, 2024. Can you believe we're already through the month of August? And it looks like September definitely might be an active one, especially when you consider we're heading toward the peak of the hurricane season. Let's take a look at your latest weather headlines here for this morning, as we'll be tracking some severe weather here for today across portions of the Northeast, stretching from New York down toward, say, West Virginia. For this afternoon. Still tracking the cooler temperatures across the big portion of the east with below normal temperatures, but you folks in the west will be baking a little bit with above normal temperatures expected out there. And then finally, we're going to talk about Gulf hurricane? Question mark on that one. We definitely look like we got something out in the middle of the Atlantic that needs to be tracked closely. There's some question marks on whether we're going to get a hurricane out in the Gulf or not, and I'll bring you the latest on that and give you my thoughts on that potential development. Now, before we get into this, if you have not yet subscribed to the channel, what you waiting for? Come on board here. It'd be a pleasure and an honor to have you on board here, be one of your weather services out in the YouTube universe. All you got to do is please subscribe, hit the notification bell so you're alerted on future content, and hey, give me a thumbs up if you appreciate this report and leave me a comment down below. I appreciate your support. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the current satellite imagery here as we've got clouds stretching here across the middle of the country. This is associated with that cold front. That's what's going to be setting off the active weather in this part of the country from New York down toward West Virginia later today. Dealing with a tropical little disturbance here along the Gulf Coast. It was a lot more robust yesterday afternoon, but still lingering here with the rains along the Gulf Coast. We'll show you that here in a second. And also seeing a cluster of storms out here in the Bahamas. Nothing official with this one just yet, but I'll be watching that one closely because sometimes you get cluster thunderstorms that kind of hang out over the warm waters for a while. You can get development if you don't watch it. So watch that closely. But a lot of the upper plains out toward the west, just a lot of clear skies, a beautiful looking Labor Day weekend, although it will be a little bit warmer out in the west, to say the least. Now, boy, this looks very nice. A lot of 50s in here. The cooler temperatures moving here across the high plains. You got the frontal system moving in here. Here's the rains. You got some showers here going in through areas of Mississippi. A little tropical wave bringing in a little bit of rain action there across South Florida. And this will be another reinforcing shot of cool air that'll be coming in here across the northern tier and going into the northeast. Even the southeast will cool down a little bit here. And I'll show you that in the climate outlook here a little bit later in the report. But looking pretty good. And our hazard outlook is also not looking too bad here across the country. We do have some hot temperatures, heat advisories here across portions of Washington, Oregon, and Idaho. We've got some flash flood watches. That's been sitting there for a few days now across Louisiana and Mississippi, into some air quality conditions there across portions of North Carolina. Otherwise, pretty quiet for most of the country. But I do suspect we may get some severe thunderstorm watches potentially in this zone from New York down to West Virginia a little bit later this afternoon with that daytime heating with that front moving in. All right, here's where we're tracking the rains along the Gulf Coast here from this morning from Galveston, getting over toward even not too far from New Orleans, Baton Rouge, getting in some rains here. And this zone will be looking pretty wet and rainy with this tropical system kind of lingering here. Nothing development looks imminent. Yesterday, I was getting a little concerned the way those thunderstorms were looking, but definitely a lot quieter out here for this morning right now. Now, our current looking weather city of the day. Yeah, our weather city of the day is Chicago. Beautiful skyline here, beautiful shot over Lake Michigan here. You know, Chicago was baking in the heat earlier in the week. It's looking gorgeous today, 82 degrees, mostly sunny skies. Good day to go out to Lake Michigan, cool off, although just be careful. The surf conditions are going to be up a little bit there along the lake. And if you would like to have your city considered as the weather city of the day, all you got to do is please just post a webcam link. If you know of a good webcam in your area on YouTube or somewhere else, just post it down the link below and we'll use it for a future broadcast. All right, let's go ahead and get on over here and let's talk about the severe weather outlook here as we're expecting here for your day one. All right, so we're looking, again, we got that frontal system that is moving into the area, and that's what's going to be responsible for that potential for some of that severe weather there. That little yellow pocket, that's where the high wind risk is going to be here for today as that frontal system kind of moves into that area. So that's what we're going to be responsible for setting that off. We got a little batch of storms here possible across areas of Minnesota over toward the UP of Michigan here for this afternoon as well. As we break it down by the category, you don't have to worry about the tornado risk. That's less than 2% for today, looking pretty good. Maybe a little cluster of some hail there in that green zone. Again, that's only about a 5% chance. The big threat for today will be the wind threat. Again, that's where that slight risk is covering from New York State down toward West Virginia, parts of Virginia, and Maryland, a little sliver of Ohio as well for later this afternoon. Your day 2 outlook will push this off a little bit further toward the east as we wait for that frontal system. You're looking at a marginal risk here stretching from Maine all the way down into northeast Georgia. That frontal system moves on in and looking pretty decent for most of the country. Just a general thunderstorm for the southeast. In fact, I don't even have a day 3 to show you. In fact, day 3 is just showing for just a general thunderstorm threat for the southeast. So looking pretty quiet there for your day 3, which is obviously going into Labor Day. So Sunday, which is there, and Labor Day, not looking bad. So recapping again for today, these are your areas. We're talking about Pittsburgh, Harrisburg, Altoona, looking Binghamton, New York, looking at State College, Pennsylvania. Those are your main target zones for that slight risk for severe weather. You got 8 million people under the gun there, and marginal, much bigger area, about 41 million people being impacted there. Philadelphia, Washington, D.C., Baltimore, Nashville, all those areas will be under the gun for that marginal risk for severe weather for this afternoon. All right, let's talk about the tropics. Again, we're going toward the climatological peak of the hurricane season. That is September the 10th. Those areas there in red are our hot zones. Again, going back the last 100 years, we had 70-plus named storms that have developed in that region. And this is the latest from the National Hurricane Center. We got 3 areas of concern. You got one there off the Louisiana coast. I'm not too concerned about that. Those development risks are pretty low. You got the one well out in the Atlantic, only showing about a 10% chance for development going out the next 7 days. So it's that one there in orange, right dead center of the screen. That's the one that's showing the most concern there with a 50% chance of development, as the models have been kind of locked onto that one here for the last few days with that system. Of course, the next named storm is going to be Francine. We could possibly see Gordon on its heels behind that as well. So the next 2 named storms there, we're definitely running well below the projections for this hurricane season, and I don't think we're going to get as many storms as we thought, but I do anticipate September to be a lot busier than August was, when we only had a couple of named storms for the month of August, and climatologically speaking, we typically get 4 for the month of August. So here is your satellite imagery out there as we're watching, again, these 2 areas of disturbed weather. We got this one out here, and we've got this one right here, but neither one of them from an infrared standpoint look all that impressive here for this morning. And we'll see how things progress as we go for the next 7 days to see which one of these 2 systems are going to develop as we go through the upcoming week. I think next weekend could be a very interesting weekend, to say the least. That disturbances are moving into some very, very warm water. A lot of the water temperatures here across the Caribbean and into the Gulf of Mexico are looking very warm indeed. We're talking water temperatures in here sitting between 85 and 87 degrees. So very warm water temperatures indeed. That's plenty of fuel for anything tropical to potentially develop off here. Now, here is the latest ECENS ensemble model. Yesterday it was kind of tracking 3 different systems. Now it's kind of locked on to 2. So obviously, the one that your eyes are going to be drawn to are going to be the one that's out in front. Okay, the one here, this one looks like this one stays out into the on the Atlantic. Not worried about that one. It's this other one behind it, as you can see it tracking through the Caribbean. And then where does it go from here? Okay, does it make a turn and go this way, or does it go continue in a westerly direction? That is the big concern. It's all about timing, folks. Okay, we're talking about timing. We're talking about the speed at which it's moving forward. When does it time up and hook up with a potential trough to draw that system northward? And when you're looking at something beyond 7 days, the model errors really kind of creep up quite a bit. So a lot of unknowns on this one, but I will say is that the latest European model is hinting at something perhaps getting into the Gulf of Mexico, and that's why I am genuinely concerned. Of course, I have family down in Pensacola, Florida. Obviously, I'm going to be very concerned about what happens there. So let's look at the model data here. This is the latest European model here, and I'm starting on Labor Day. We're looking pretty quiet there for the moment. So we're just going to bring this forward. I will say that disturbance set, as it moves into the Caribbean, doesn't really show any signs of any real development as it approaches the area there toward Jamaica. So this is the disturbance here on your Wednesday night, Thursday morning, right here near Jamaica. We don't have a tropical depression yet. We don't have a storm. And that's also important too. Once we get something to actually develop, the models will do a better job of locking on to that swirl and be able to anticipate its motions a little bit better. But as we go through this latest model, this was the overnight European model run, As it approaches the Yucatan Peninsula, we may get a tropical storm at that time. So we're talking about next Saturday at this time. I'll maybe talking about tropical storm there near the Yucatan. And then this thing begins to make a turn to the north. And as I showed you with those water temperatures there in the Gulf of Mexico, they're very, very warm indeed. So it makes a turn toward the north. All right, comes to the north, and as it gets into that bath water, it really starts to explode very rapidly. It's a pretty good ridge of high pressures over the top. And at the end of this run, this is late in the day on Monday, September the 10th. Again, we're talking 10 days out. You're looking at a Cat 2 hurricane in the Gulf of Mexico. Now, will this change? Very likelihood this is going to change, okay? But what this means is that if you're anywhere into the Gulf of Mexico, anywhere here along the Gulf Coast, from Texas all the way around the Gulf Coast of Florida, y'all need to be paying attention, obviously, to this, and look out for updates from the National Hurricane Center. I think next weekend we'll be watching probably a hurricane, but where this hurricane goes, still a lot to be determined on that, and we'll watch it very closely for you here on the Weather Nerds channel. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the conditions here across the country here, as we're going to be looking at how things are going to be projecting here for the week ahead. So let's go ahead and back this up. As again, we're going to be watching this cold front here moving through areas of the northeast. That's what's going to bring in that active weather here for today as we progress throughout this afternoon. So watch that timestamp in the upper right-hand corner as we watch that front kind of sink on down to the south. Nice little cool shot there coming into the northeast. So this will be some cooler temperatures here filtering in across New England. Still looking at temperatures on Monday, maybe not getting out of the 60s for highs, which is very unusual to see for this time of year for that part of the country. Again, the southeast will be dealing with increased chance of rain as that frontal system is going to kind of get hung up across the south. So you're looking at Tuesday afternoon, you're looking at a general thunderstorm threat here from Texas all the way into areas of Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina, Florida. Especially areas of Alabama, Georgia, and the Carolinas have been kind of on the dry side. That definitely could use the needed rainfall there. So that'll definitely help there with generally just air mass thunderstorms with the proximity of that old frontal boundary there. And then we'll see what happens here with another frontal system coming in here as we head toward Thursday and Friday. You see this frontal system kind of coming in here, coming in toward Thursday. This will bring in another shot of some cool air. Again, not going to be plunging too far south, but we're going to be seeing it making its push off toward the east and southeast here as we go into the following weekend here. And looks like a little piece of energy starts to surge off out of the south and moves northward, kind of catches up with that frontal system as we go into late in the day on Friday. So here's our cold front here. We got a little bit of energy here kind of coming out ahead of this a little bit, and you got the colder temperatures here coming down across the Great Lakes as we go through the day on your Friday. All right, so let's clear that out on your Friday. And going through the following weekend, that's when things will get interesting and fun as that frontal system comes down to the south. It's going to tug at that system. And where does that hurt? Where does that potential hurricane go at that point? All right, that's the end of the run there on Monday. And most of the country is looking pretty quiet. But where does that potential tropical system go? Again, it all depends on the timing of the system, how it develops, and everything else to see if we're going to get any kind of potential landfall going into, say, the 10th or 11th of September. So stay tuned here. We'll keep you updated on that. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the forecast temperatures as we're going to be dealing with, again, some very steamy weather here across the southeast. You're seeing temperatures here on your Saturday afternoon, once again, into the 90s. Of course, down here across the Gulf Coast, where it's going to be rainy and wet, they're only going to stay in the 80s down there. Big story, obviously, here, 90s in the west here across areas of Washington State, stretching back into the southwest here. You see 110 down there across Death Valley. Well, there's a surprise. It's going to be pretty hot there, but not bad here across the plains. I mean, the high plains, the Midwest, low 80s, that feels pretty good here for this afternoon. Let me go ahead and clear this out. And again, watch that timestamp in that upper right-hand corner as we progress here through your weekend. We'll look at your afternoon highs here on your Sunday afternoon. Again, still looking steamy and hot there across areas of the deep south as we're looking at temperatures down here in the 90s once again here. Out here west, very hot indeed. 105 over into Phoenix. Look at this interior section of Idaho and Washington State. Here's a 97, 94. Very steamy and above normal temperatures out here in the west here on your Sunday. And as we progress again, going into your Monday afternoon, Labor Day afternoon, looking pretty hot and steamy here across the southeast. There's a 97 in Montgomery, 90 in Atlanta, 93 in Birmingham. You factor in humidity, it's going to be hotter there. Looks like we got some warmer temperatures out here on the foothills coming out of the Rockies there. Seeing some 90s up into areas of Montana and obviously very steamy and hot down here across the southwest. But you want some nice weather? How about 65 in Buffalo for an afternoon high, 63 up here in Vermont. We're talking some very nice weather there across portions of New England. Very unusual to see that coming in. Hey, even 71 there in Chicago for an afternoon high on Monday. That feels pretty good as well. All right, let's go ahead and continue that timestamp going forward here once again as I go ahead and take you through the rest of this model run here as we go into next week. Again, New England there going into your Tuesday morning. That's going to feel pretty nice. A lot of 50s out there. Big swath of 50s here across a big portion of New England. Going back to the middle of the country, very nice out here. Warm and steamy out here in the southwest as we go through the day on your Tuesday morning. And as we go forward here, and we'll go ahead and stop this into the middle of the week. I'm only going to like to go about 5 days here on these Tuesday afternoon highs. Still hot out there in the plains, obviously, out in this area in the 90s. Look at the interior sections of California. 101 out there in California, 108 down there in the valleys. Very, very steamy indeed. And then as we go into your Wednesday afternoon, and we'll stop there on Wednesday afternoon there, looking a lot better in the southeast thanks to the increased rain threat here. Look at the temperatures falling back here into the 80s where they've been sweltering the 90s, so some relief coming there, but still staying with above normal temperatures for a big swath of the area out here in the west coast with that above normal temperatures expected to move in and be sticking around here for a little while. So as we look at your latest climate outlook, again, as we were showing you there, looking September 5th to the 9th, your 6 to 10 day outlook, most of the east here looking at below normal temperatures, except for maybe Florida, but definitely going to get a break here, as I showed you, coming in on your Wednesday. So that's going to feel pretty good. Very warm out toward the west with above normal temperatures there, going from 6 to 10 and then 8 to 14. Doesn't really change that much, really. This pattern is going to keep the below normal temperatures here in the east, warm out here in the west. And looking at your precipitation outlook here, pretty quiet. Looking at below normal precipitation for the high plains, where it's been pretty active the last 7 to 10 days. They're going to get a break here. Above normal precipitation out here across the eastern and the southeastern portion of the United States. And this map also doesn't change all that much here as we look at September 7th to the 13th. Of course, now this is all predicated on what happens with the tropics. Of course, this can get blown right out if we get the hurricane that comes up and moves up in this direction or something like that. This one could potentially change. It really kind of depends on what's happening on down in the tropics as we go into September. That's going to be the key factor there on your long range, especially the 7th and 13th. We'll see how that things progress as we go into the month. And if you'd like to get updates, I do hurricane shorts or 1-minute updates on the tropics. I do those regularly. And if you'd like to continue to get these daily updates, all you got to do is please subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you're alerted on future content, and please leave me a comment down below. I do appreciate your feedback. All right, that's your Saturday update for now. You guys take it easy. Enjoy your Labor Day weekend with your families. Be good, stay safe, and we'll see you next time. Bye, guys.